Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kiki and Kibitz. It's me, Mary, and I am here live on a Saturday afternoon, a couple of days late, better late than never, with my 90-day fiance, The Last Resort recap, season 2, episode 2, The Last Straw. Honestly, I am finding this season of Last Resort highly entertaining, highly amusing, much more so than the first season. Honestly, the first season was to me way scripted, way too acted. You guys know what I mean. This second season, yeah, it's scripted. I mean, this therapy storyline is bullshit. We all know it. You know it. I know it. But for like the entertainment value so far, I know it's only episode 2. Okay. But the entertainment value, and I don't know if it's because I'm watching this while I'm smoking, it could be, but it is funny as fuck to me. Okay. So if I was going to give this episode a grade, I would give it a B plus. There were tons of entertaining moments. I mean, the therapy session was like, what the fuck? Okay. The therapists, they're useless. I don't even know why the therapists are there. Okay. Florian should just counsel everyone. Okay. So I'm just letting you guys come in. And all I have to say is, I want to be free. Come on, guys. You have to admit that was fucking hysterical. But I'm going to get into it. Okay. So here we go. We start off the second episode of the second season of Last Resort. Gino and Jasmine spinning around in the pool in the beginning. So we pick up where we left off from last week. And Gino's sleeping in the bed. Jasmine is sleeping on the couch. They had a big fight last week, so they slept together. And Ari and Benny are in separate rooms, not looking happy. Okay. It's the next morning now, and Sophie has all of her shit all over the bed. Did you guys catch that? Like, oh, what the fuck? It looked like she just took her suitcase and dumped it out all over the bed. So actually, it's the night that they're going. Sorry. So she's the two of them are talking about the couples. And Rob has no idea if that's Darcy or Stacy. And that was the first moment that made me crack the fuck up. Okay. He was there for what? Like a whole night with her, and he had no idea which twin it was. So he actually Googled. Okay. He actually Googled to see who Florian was married to. And he's like, okay, so that's Stacy from now on. I was cracking the fuck up. I'm like, okay, that's a typical guy shit. But to me, that was pretty hilarious. That was like the first hilarious moment. So now that he figured out that that's Stacy that he's been talking to this whole time, we have them talking about them. Okay, they get in bed and they're basically dissecting Stacy and Florian's relationship because Rob, up to this point, he's insisting that maybe him and Sophie's relationship isn't as fucked up as he thinks he is compared to the other ones that are around him. So Sophie does not like Florian. Sophie's like, yeah, he's a cheater, coming home with makeup on his shirt, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we move on to Josh and Natalie's room. And Josh is like, what do you want to do? Natalie's like, maybe some food, watch some TV. You take me to your house since we're in Arizona. She didn't say that, but you know what I mean. So they start talking about the couples. So she's like, what do you think about the couples? And he's like, yeah, their stories are kind of crazy, man. Everybody has major issues. Like either they're not having sex or they're fighting all the time or cheating. And he's like, if that's one thing that me and Natalie don't have a problem with, is in the bedroom. Okay. I mean, we 75% of our relationship may be fighting, but Listen, we don't have a problem in the bedroom at all. Natalie thinks that their relationship is like 70% in the bedroom and 2% they fight. Josh kind of like questions that. He's like, I feel like it's 75% fighting. But yeah, one thing is we don't have a problem with this in the bedroom. The problem, according to Josh, but we know this is all bullshit because they're not even in a relationship. This was whole a manufactured relationship from single life. So according to him, the reason why that they're having problems is because Natalie's pressuring him. Natalie's pressuring him into things that he doesn't want and for certain things that he can't deliver. And Natalie's like, I want family. I want family. I want kids. I want the whole, house with the white picket fence and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And he's like, whoa, hold up. You're rushing everything over here. Just give it a second. It's only been like 3 years and I still haven't taken you to my house. Just hold up and stop rushing. So now it's the next morning and Julia is yelling at Brandon for not packing enough socks and panties. Do you guys see what I mean? Okay, there are moments of just hilarious entertainment. She meant underwear, but she's yelling at him about his socks and panties. And she's like, I'm not your mother. It's not my job to keep track of your socks and panties. I packed everything else. You should have packed enough socks and panties because he doesn't have enough socks. Okay, so that was like amusing to me. And then Jasmine is barking like a dog, and Gino likes it. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. So Gino's like, last night got out of control. Okay, I admit it got out of control. And Jasmine's like, I just want to stay here and be able to work things out with you. And he's like, I was upset and frustrated because you were, leaving the house, staying out somewhere else, and not telling me where you were going. And Jasmine's like, we were arguing at the time, and I did tell you. I told you that it was with a friend that we both have in common. I was at Brandy's house, okay? And, I'm sorry I made you worried though. And, can we just try to get through this therapy and try to do this and be nice to each other? This is what Jasmine is telling Gino. Can we be nice to each other in front of the others? Is that too much to ask? Can we please just do this? Okay. So Gino is just not 100% sure about, Jasmine staying at her friend's house and he's just not 100% sure about this whole thing. Doesn't know if he can trust her. And guess what? He has a good reason not to because, as you all may or may not know, her friend Matt is currently her boo right now. So we'll get into this in a second. So now it's Stacy and Florian's turn the next morning. And Stacy's like, all I ask is for you to just please be nice to me today. What is it with these women asking their men to be nice to them when it's actually them that could be a bitch to their man? I've seen Stacy show her bitchy side to Florian, just saying it. We all know about Jasmine, but they're like, oh, please be nice to me today. Okay. So now, the therapist Heidi shows up to Ari's room, hoping that, she could actually earn her keep on the show. So she's like, hi, I just wanted to check in on you guys before we went off to the therapy session. And Ari's like, hey, yeah, you might want to do that. So she's like, I wanted to talk to you and Benny. Is Benny here? And Ari's like, no, he went and got his own room, but I'll call him and tell him to come down. So therapist Heidi says that last night at the group therapy session, Ari stated her concerns very clear and concise, and Benny responded with anger. So that concerns therapist Heidi. And she's, going to check in on them and see what she can do. Now, all I have to say is I took a running tally of how many times the phrase social media was said in this episode, and I will keep saying this. Do not try to do a shot anytime Benny, Ari, or any of the therapists dealing with them say social media. This episode, it was 9. I might have lost count, 1 or 2. So let's just say between 9 and 11 times in 1 2 hour episode. I don't know if you can handle 9 to 11 shots in a 2 hour span. I know I can't. I would definitely die of alcohol poisoning. God forbid, knock on wood, and all those things. So, okay. So Ari calls Benny down to talk to the therapist, and she's like, I don't regret. She's like, fix things can be broken. That's the first thing she says. Okay. Broken things can be fixed, and her relationship may be broken, but who knows, maybe it could be fixed. Benny walks in, he don't give a shit. Okay. The first thing practically out of his mouth, okay, he wants his damn social media back. Yeah, let's communicate with Ari better so we're not fighting. But what it comes down to it, I'm stressed the fuck out. She has all my passwords, and I want my social media. Okay. Without my social media, I feel like a bird in a cage. She said something like stuck in a glass or something. So he's like a bird stuck in a cage, and the lock to the cage is his social media passwords. Okay. Now Ari admits that, yeah, that she was getting back at him, and guess what? She doesn't regret it one bit. Now, I keep saying I'm with Ari. Okay. She found out that her husband was cheating on her through his social media that she had control of. So she said, fuck you, motherfucker, and change his passwords. But to be holding on to them this long, and yes, I sort of agree with Benny as well. It is kind of a form of blackmail. Okay. Because she's like holding it over his head. She's like, I have all of your social media, I have everything. And if you don't do what I say, I'm not going to give it back to you. Personally, I would have changed the passwords and given it back to him the first week or two, because I wouldn't want to be bothered with him badgering me, because that's what he's doing. He is badgering Ari, could not give a shit about this therapy. The only reason why he is doing the therapy, sorry guys, my hair is like bothering me. Give me a second. There we go. Like one little strand of hair. Okay. So she I don't know. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants his social media passwords. So the therapist is like, maybe we could put this aside for today. The thing that made me laugh is that when he said, if she gives me my social media passwords back, then maybe we could have some trust between us again. And it's like, no, buddy, you're the one that broke the trust when you cheated on your wife, and you want to gain your wife's trust by having her give you back social media passwords so then you'll be able to trust her again. Nobody. So therapist Heidi is like, maybe we could just put that all aside today with the passwords and just, concentrate on the therapy. So she asked Ari, did you try to get away from this situation? And Ari said, fuck yeah. I went to Ethiopia for 4 months. Okay. And oh my goodness, it served me so much better than being around all this shit. Okay. But I come back to it and it's still here. My God, guys, I have like one little strand of hair that is bothering the hell out of me. Okay, I think I got rid of it. So she's like, I got away, and but now that I'm back, I'm dealing with it again. So this is the look of a couple who cannot be fixed. They are broken into 1,000 pieces, and they both have their parts in it. Okay. Ari is not completely innocent. Benny is not completely innocent. So this couple, in my opinion, dunzo. Anyway, therapist Heidi is hopeful that maybe the group therapy could help them. So Benny says, maybe today I'll try not to focus on the password. Maybe I'll just put that aside for today. And here, let's shake hands on it. So now they're off to group therapy. Now, this group therapy session is quite interesting. They all pile into the van, and Gino tries to, spread positivity in his van. He's like, okay, everybody, today is our group therapy session. Let's, try to do this to our best of our ability. It's warm outside. It's a new day. Rob is like, thanks for the positivity, Gino. Meanwhile, in the other van, oh, Jasmine's talking about that this is how horror stories start. Big dysfunctional family goes off into the desert to never be seen again. She said that if she was going to be a cannibal, the first person she would eat is Benny, because Benny has the most muscles and meat on him, I guess. Okay, Jasmine. So in the other van with Florian, Stacy, Ari, Benny, they're talking about, and Julia and Brandon, they're talking about snakes. What kind of snakes are out there in the desert? And Ari carries anti-venom in her purse. Of course, Ari carries anti-venom in her purse. Why wouldn't she? So they get to the therapy site, and Julia's like, oh no, I'm a little bit scared. Oh no, I'm scared. Well, what is this big pile of rocks here? Or what are we doing? And Brandon was like, as we were walking up and I saw the rocks, I was like, what are we going to do? Throw the rocks at each other? And Julia was like, I was thinking the same thing. So therapist James says, this is called Compromise Canyon. So basically, what they are supposed to do is think about an issue that they have in their relationship. Then they're going to walk over, pick up 2 rocks, write their issue on a rock, put it in the backpack, okay? And they're supposed to give their partner their rock. This is the important part, guys. Remember this. They're supposed to write down the issue on their rock, put it in the backpack, and then give their rock to their partner to carry, because their partner is going to carry their issue. So you would think if you wanted to be a real bitch, you would get a huge, heavy rock and write your issue on it and give it to your partner to carry. Okay, so now, during, the instructions being given out and stuff, everyone's like, okay, we'll go over, we'll get a rock. And then this is like another amusing part, okay, of this whole therapy session. And no one knew what rock to pick. Stacy's like, I'm a Libra. I can't decide. Julia's like, I'll pick up this little tiny rock. Girl, I would pick up the biggest rock and write my issue on it and give it to Brandon and Carrie. She's like, oh, look, this rock looks like a pizza. Everyone's walking around this pile of rocks and they can't decide what fucking rock to pick. Okay, that like cracked me up. And then we start to find out what everybody's writing on their rock. For Natalie, it's access. She wants access to his house, to his life more, because she feels like, by not having access to his home doesn't really show that he cares for her. So if Natalie gets access, she'll be happy. Now, one thing I noticed as we went through this whole therapy session, we never found out what Josh wrote on his rock. Just saying, okay? Ari is helping Benny spell respect, Respect. And then Florian and Stacy are looking at their rocks and trying to figure out what to write on their rocks. Okay, so now this is where the argument starts to break out between Rob and Sophie. Rob is like, I wrote transparency on my rock. What did you write on yours since I told you what I wrote on mine? And Sophie's rock said compassion. And that's when Rob was like, hold up. You have the audacity to write compassion on your rock when you fucked your ex Caleb and lied straight to my face about it. Okay, so now her whole thing is that it was when she was 14. Her and her friend Caleb, you remember this dude, okay, from their first season of 90 Day. She flew him all the way out from England so he could meet Rob. And Rob was like, side eyeing the dude. And wound up he had a good reason to side eye him. Him and Sophie had sex when they were 14. And it's not the fact that Caleb and Sophie had sex when they were 14. It's the fact that Sophie lied about it when she was 24. And she made a conscious decision to lie. She texted Caleb and asked him not to say anything to Rob. So Caleb stood there and looked Rob straight in the eye and said, no, we never did anything but kiss a couple of times when we were kids. Yeah, okay. So, Sophie is so immature, such a fucking child, that she cannot wrap her mind around that it's not the fact that she fucked this guy when she was 14, it's the fact that she lied about it when she was 24. And she's like, I refuse to talk about something that happened when I was 14. So while everybody else is writing stuff on their rocks and getting ready to go off for the therapy session, Rob and Sophie are starting to have an argument. And Rob is like, she just won't take accountability for the fact that she lied. She lied straight to my face. So now the therapist is finishing giving the instructions to everyone. You go off, you walk down the trail. Here's a map. When you reach the flag, you sit down, you take out the rock from your bag, and you discuss the issue on it. If you're able to compromise, then you can leave the rock there. If not, you have to put the rock back in your bag and keep going. So now they're dividing everybody up into teams. Okay, so we have Team Jasmine and Gino, Natalie and Josh. Okay, Natalie compares Jasmine to a radio that just talks nonstop. Then we have Florian and Stacy, and Benny and Ari. Okay, and finally Julia and Brandon and Rob and Sophie, who are arguing as the therapists are talking. Sophie's like, it happened when I was 14 years old. I'm not going to have this talk with you about something that happened when I was 14 years old. And Rob is like, can you get it through your thick skull that it's not the fact that you fucked this guy when you were 14, is that you lied to me when you were 24, when we were married. You lied to me. So guess what? The therapist walks over to see if he can help them, right? So Rob explains to him that he just finds, that she has the audacity to write the word compassion on her rock when she brought her best friend, who she had sex with when she was 14, and lied straight to his face. So where was the compassion for him? But she wants compassion from Rob. Sophie's the one that wants compassion. But where the fuck is Rob's compassion? And you know something? I think Rob has a point. Rob the knob has a point. So guess what? She doesn't like to hear it. Oh no. Sophie does not like to hear this. And she takes the fuck off. Oh yes, she does. She takes off and the therapist runs after her. And the therapist is like, I'm gonna go talk to her. Just stay here and chill. Take a breath, Rob. I'm gonna go talk to her. I'll get her back. The therapist goes, has a conversation with her. Meanwhile, the rest of the couples, they're going off. Stacy's like, my sneakers. I'll just buy a new pair. She is fucking cracking me up. Meanwhile, Julie and Brandon are annoyed because they're supposed to be with Sophie and Rob, who are back there arguing. They feel like that they're not going to get the therapy now that they're supposed to get because they don't have the teammates that they're supposed to have, and they're just wandering by themselves. I'm in my head, I'm like, Julia, just shut up already and just worry about yourself. And honestly, ugh, she is just getting under my skin, and it's only the second episode. So now we have Jasmine and Natalie who go run off to pee behind a bush together. They're pee buddies now. Don't worry, Natalie will protect Jasmine's ass from being bitten by any snake. We know because she admires it so much. Okay, so don't worry, Jasmine. She got your ass while you're peeing. She's all like, it's a natural thing, Josh. I have to go behind the bush and pee. It's a natural thing. So, anyway, it starts raining. Of course, it starts raining in the desert. It starts raining, and Stacy's like, "Oh my god, my hair, my eyelash extensions." So Florian gives her his sweatshirt, and she like puts it on her head like scarf. And Florian's like, "But why can't you wear it like normal? Like, what is wrong with you? Just wear it like normal." And she's like, "No, I need to protect my eyelash extensions and hair extensions. I don't have time to go to the salon." And I'm just cracking the fuck up. I'm like, this is entertainment value. We need entertainment, okay? Not just scripted, boring bullshit like this Rob and Sophie. Okay, this is scripted, boring bullshit. The therapist goes running after her, has a conversation. Rob starts walking on his own, looking all lonely, walking on his own, carrying his backpack. Okay. And so now, first, Ari and Benny are walking along the trail, and Benny's like, I wrote the word respect on my backpack. And the reason why I wrote respect is because, I just need you to like talk to me nicer in a lower voice. And Ari's like, the reason why I wrote affection is because you don't like grab my hand, like we're walking right now. You're not grabbing my hand. You don't hug me. And when you first arrived at the house, you walked in and you went to go shake my hand. Like, what kind of affection is that? So now, speaking of affection, okay, Florian starts giving Stacy a piggyback ride. Okay, so immediately, Ari wants a piggyback ride. And Benny's like, okay, if you insist, I really don't want to fucking do this, but sure. So then he starts making a hundred excuses. He's like, oh, the the rock is sticking me in my back through the backpack. No, you're too heavy. No, like he is not feeling this, Ari. Like, get it through your thick head. He's just gonna do whatever you want him to for the minimal time possible so he could get his social media passwords back. That is his end game. His end game is not you. His end game is his social media. So Ari starts crying. And Stacy's like, oh my God, I didn't mean to start anything. I just wanted a piggyback ride for my man. We were just trying to reconnect and whatever. And, Ari's like, it's not your fault. I'm just embarrassed of the person I chose to marry. It's been a really hard 5 years with all the cheating and all, and everything. And so she's crying on Stacy's shoulder. Florian and Benny are walking a little bit up ahead, and Benny's like, what her problem is that she has to force things. When I don't want to do something, it's like, no, I still have to do it. It's basically Ari's way or the highway. And this is where I say that I think Florian should be the counselor. Okay. Florian immediately starts telling him, you know, you have to work this out. You need to work this out for your kid. Okay. And when Florian tells him, okay, first, wait, let me say this. Stacy's like, we're like the mom and dad of the group. Florian said, what the fuck do you mean we're the mom and dad of the group? What are we, adopting Ari and Benny? So Florian actually gave him some really good fatherly advice. Dude, if I was in your shoes, I would fucking give up Instagram. I would fucking give up my email. I would fucking give up my Snapchat. I would fucking give up Facebook. I would give up everything. Okay? Fuck that. Fuck that. Because you know Florian, every other word is fuck out of his mouth. That's why he's like my F word soulmate. Okay, so he's like, all that shit doesn't mean anything to me. You know what means something to me? My wife. And you know what should mean something to you? Your wife and your son. You're here for your son. You're not here for your social media. And Benny's like, yeah, you know, he may be right, but really, no, he's not right because I just want my social media. Stacy's like, I'm so sorry for the piggyback. And you know, I didn't mean to upset anybody. And Ari's like, don't be sorry. It's not your fault. It's just my husband. I'm embarrassed that I married him. So now let's get to the part 2 of my little slideshow here. So Julia is like, we're going to continue this on as a team with or without Sophie, with or without Sophie and Rob. Okay. So they're going down the trail and she's looking for camels and shit. And Brandon is telling her that there's not going to be camels in this part of the desert. And Brandon's complaining, why did you have to pick up such a big rock for my bag? And Julia's like, yes, I chose the most heavy rock for you. So now Gino and Jasmine and Natalie and Josh have reached the first flag. And let me light my joint for this one. So Jasmine wrote on her rock, independence. Now, mind you, Jasmine was carrying her own rock around. Okay. So she said, and you know something, just thinking about it, we don't know what Gino wrote on his rock either. So anyway, independence. And how is she going to get this independence? With a car and a driver's license. And Gino, it is up to you, even though you spent how much money on my boobs, how much money on my ass, how much money on my wedding. But now, in order to regain my independence, I need you to get me a fucking car, Gino. Listen, I need a car now. And not any hoopty doopty. Because you know, if Gino would have pulled out some like hoopty, like the 2006 Subaru Outback that my son is driving around, Jasmine would have been like, oh no, I'm not driving that. So anyway, now we go back to Benny and Ari. They reached, the flag where they're supposed to sit and have their therapy session. And Ari said, on my rock, I wrote affection. Okay. And I want you to show me some affection. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit here, hold hands, and gaze into each other's eyes. Just like the first episode, she had to teach him how to hug. Okay, she like literally was like, put your hands here and put your hands here. Well, now she's going to teach him to hold her hand and gaze into her eyes. Ari, that's a little too much. Okay, so Benny's like, okay, I'll do it. But for how long? 20 seconds? 30 seconds? Don't ask me to do more than a minute. So now, the best part of this whole episode. Stacy pulls out of her bag the word trust. Trust is written on her rock. And she's like, I still have a lot of trust issues from the past, and I'm still insecure about you having side chicks and stuff and coming home with makeup on your shirt. And, I want us to reconnect. And then she starts crying. And Florian is like, Stacy, please, whatever you do, don't cry. And I'm cracking the fuck up, okay? Because if he knows his wife, he knows that she's going to cry at the drop of a dime, but not drop one tear. There was not one tear that dropped from her eyes while she was literally Florian's like, shh. You want me to take this off of you? Do you want me to take this off of you or not? Like, you want to hold it? And when you hold it, and that'll make you stop crying. Like, he didn't even understand what she meant about taking the rock and taking, the burden. And she's like, take it from me. And he's just like, Stace, what the hell is wrong? I laughed way too hard. I must have rewound that part 3 times. She's like, just let me release. I want us to release together. And he's like, whatever, just shut the fuck up. I'll give you 10 hugs if you would just shut the fuck up and stop crying. So he's like, I promise, little by little, step by step, you're going to see that I am loyal, that I'm true to you, and you have nothing to worry about. So can we leave the rock here, basically? So now let's talk about the other rock. Let's talk about my rock. Okay, I have a rock too that I'm carrying around, Stacy, but she needs to do some breathing exercises. Okay, maybe now she's ready to listen to him. So before we get to Florian's rock, we go back to Julia and Brandon, and suddenly a dog appears. At the desert, out of nowhere, somebody's walking a dog, and we all know Julia's a dog lover. How convenient. And Julia wants to become a dog trainer. How convenient. So she's like, oh my goodness, look at your dog. I love your dog. Can I pet your dog? What is your dog's name? So now, therapist James gets to have some of his own screen time because he decided that he was going on the walk with Rob and Sophie, because Sophie's like, Rob is gonna have an attitude now, and I don't want to deal with it, and blah blah blah. So James decided, let me go with them so I could get my screen time, and I can, make sure that these two don't kill each other. So he's like, let's open up our backpacks, let's take out one of those rocks, make sure that we're reading each other's rock. You should not have your own. So do you see what I'm saying, guys? The rest of these fools did this thing wrong. Jasmine was carrying her own rock. Darcy was carrying her own rock. Julia and Brandon and Rob and Sophie were the only ones that actually listened and did the instructions correctly. And that was because they were with therapist James. I bet you before they taped the scene, he looked in their bags and said, you idiots, I told you to switch rocks before you carried them. And they switched them. So anyway, Julia's rock says parents. And it's not what you would think. When it first said, I'm sorry, Brandon's rock for Julia said parents. And when he first said parents, I thought that they were talking about his parents. But no, we're talking about Julia's parents. Julia wants Brandon's help to bring her parents here to live permanently. But there's a problem. Her parents are divorced and they do not get along. So how does Julia think she's going to pull this off without causing a total tornado of shit in her own household? And on Julia's rock from Brandon, it said baby. Brandon wants to have a baby. And Julia was on, the same page at him at one point. But now Julia's just open to talking about it. She's not open to having a baby right now, but she's open to talking about it. Talking about it until her eggs dry up and it's impossible for her to have a baby. So, therapist James is like, do you think this is something that you could compromise around? And Julia's like, no, not at this moment. So Brandon's like, well, if you're not going to leave your rock that says baby on it, then I'm not going to leave my rock that says parents on it. I'm not going to compromise about your parents. So then Julia says in her little confessional thing that she did her own research. She doesn't need Brandon's help. And if she has to choose between Brandon and her parents, he's not going to like her answer. Josh got one word: access. Natalie wants access, damn it. She wants access. She wants time. And Josh is like, listen, I feel like I've given you a lot of access. Financially, emotionally, spiritually. I've helped you with groceries, medicine, gas, even with your hair, girl. Like, how much more access do you want? So Natalie's like, you know what would make me feel so much better? If you would just make a tour of the house for me, a tour just especially for me. So she's like, she is so on, quote, investigating his house. He doesn't want me to investigate his house. And I do want to investigate his house. This look, guys, do you blame Josh for not letting her have his address? I wouldn't let her have my address either. Shit. I could picture her showing up to his house in the middle of the night. Like, what the hell? So Josh says, okay, listen, I could compromise. Okay. If we make it out of here in one piece after the 3 weeks that we're here, if we make it through this session, yes, I will bring you on a tour of my house. And Natalie starts screaming, jumping up and down, laughing, yay! And Josh is like, you heard what I said, right? If we make it through this therapy, you can come to my house. Well, guess what? And this is a spoiler, so stick your fingers in your ears if you don't want to hear this. He's going to be gone by episode 4. So Natalie's not getting that tour, but I'm bummed. Anyway, so they throw their rocks. We promise to respect each other, give each other time, and they throw their rocks. We don't find out what's on Josh's rock. Okay, what the fuck was on Josh's rock? So now we go back to Ari and Benny, and they're gazing into each other's eyes for about 2.2 seconds. And then he's like, I can't do this. I can't pretend. I can't fake it. I just want my social media passwords back. And Ari's like, you don't want to hold my hands, even look in my eyes. Like, this is what I mean. No affection. And now we're back to Jasmine and Gino. And she's like, I want to feel free. Again, this seems to be the recurring theme of this episode, wanting to feel free. But Jasmine needs a driver's license and a car. Unlike Stacy, she wants, support, emotional support to feel free. No, Jasmine needs the material stuff. So we could start with a driver's license and a car. And Gino's like, listen, it's not that I'm not buying you one. I can't afford it. I spent so much money on you and your ass and your boobs and everything else. And you don't appreciate anything anyway. So why the fuck am I going to put myself, I'm going to put more money into you if you don't appreciate it? And then Jasmine starts going off. I came to this country because you promised me that you were going to be an amazing husband, a father to my children, that I'm not even a mother to. But that's a whole nother story. Blah, 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 blah. But it turns out that you are the biggest scammer in the world. Yes, you are the biggest scammer in the world. Josh comes over, and basically Josh and Natalie like breaks them up. Jasmine's like screaming at Chino. Josh is like, let's take a second. Okay, everybody, let's just breathe. I know this is rough. So now we're back to therapist James getting his screen time. So he asked Sophie to read what was on the rock from Rob that she was carrying. And Sophie says, transparency. And I know he means about being more open about how I feel, because I do have a tendency to keep, my feelings to myself and not being open. Okay. So she says that she's willing to try. Therapist James says, Rob, what do you think hearing that from her? And Rob is like, it means a lot and it says a lot that she's willing to try. So therapist James is like, Sophie, you could put your rock down. So now Rob's rock says compassion. And Sophie's like, what I mean by compassion is just to be understood. Like therapist James so put it. To be understood. You want Rob to understand why you act like an immature brat, don't take any accountability for anything, and just takes off. Okay, got it. So Rob says, I've been trying to figure out how to give you what you want. So therapist James says, it sounds like we're leaving that rock, Rob. So Rob and Sophie leave their rocks. Josh and Natalie leave their rocks. Florian and Stacy, on the other hand, okay, James is like, oh, we did great work here. So, okay, let's get back to Ari and Benny. Ari and Benny, Ari is still trying to force affection on him. She's like, okay, I have another way we could show affection to each other. Let me sit on your lap. And like she has her hand on his arm. He almost visibly cringed when she sat on his lap. Okay. And Ari's like, what can I do so you could leave your rock that says respect? Because Benny was carrying his own rock and Ari was carrying hers. So Benny said, just like what you're doing now, talk to me low, keep your voice, low. And Ari's like, okay, now it's time to decide whether or not we're going to carry our rocks the rest of the way or we're going to leave them. So Ari says, do you feel like you can leave your rock, Benny? Have I shown you respect here? And Benny's like, yes, I can leave, I can leave the rock. At this point, Benny will say anything. Okay. Ari wants him to because he wants his fucking social media back. So if she tells him, don't leave the rock and I want you to do 20 backflips carrying the rock, he'll do it. If it, gives him hope that she will give his social media passwords back, he'll do it. So Benny says, I can leave my rock. You satisfied me enough with your respect today by talking to me in a low voice. I'm going to leave my rock. So he makes a big production. He is such a performer of taking the rock out of his bag and puts it up there. Ari's rock says affection. And she says, I feel like I have to continue carrying my rock. No, Benny was supposed to be carrying that rock. And she's like, emotional repair is part of affection. Like, if we're going to start repairing things between us, we have to show affection towards each other. And Benny's just sitting there like, blah, 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 blah. I don't hear a word she says. Blah, 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 blah. I want my social media passwords. Blah, 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 blah. So now Florian Stacy, Florian's like, I just need you to stop cutting me off. I need you to listen to all my thoughts. You cut me off all the time, and it annoys the fuck out of me. This is where you could totally tell they're just here for the fucking check, if you didn't know that already. But at least they're here for the entertainment value. So Stacy's like, yeah, I know I have a tendency of interrupting him, but I don't do it to be malicious or mean or anything. It's just I want to help him get his thoughts out. But I guess now it's becoming an issue. So the two of them, they throw their rocks off together, and the mom and dad of last resort are happy. So now they're all going home, and they're all in their vans. So Jasmine asked Rob, did you and Sophie get rid of your rocks? And they're like, yeah, we got rid of them. We managed to work out a compromise. And Natalie, being Natalie, turns around and says to Rob, you know something? I feel like you love her more than she loves you. And Sophie's like, hold up. First of all, since when my relationship is Natalie's business. And second of all, mean girl, go, sit up there and mind your business. She's like, I've dealt with chicks like this all my life in school, and I'm not going to let her disrespect me and like shit on me. So Natalie continues like, oh, well, you should concentrate on him more. I don't see it. I see him putting more of an effort than you. And Rob is just sitting there, not saying a fucking word. So they all go back to the resort. Now it's the next morning. Julia's doing her push up. She got about 3 in. Sophie was actually pretty upset with Rob, sitting out there on the sofa, looking like you know, an upset child. And she's like, last night when Natalie started picking on me in the van, Rob didn't stick up for me, and I'm upset with him. Meanwhile, Florian is trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with Jasmine. Jasmine cries too much. Like, you're here to figure things out. There's no cemetery here. Or why are you crying? I mean, Florian with his one-liners, I cannot. So now Stacy's like, please don't embarrass me in front of them. I actually like these girls. We get to Gino and Jasmine's room. And Jasmine's like, thank you so much for having this agreement. And we share the bed. But they're not sharing the bed. Okay, she slept on the couch. But she's like, I just wish that both of us could enjoy the bed at the same time. We have a sexist marriage, Gino. Do you hear me, Gino? We have a sexless marriage, and I will not have it, Gino. And Gino's like, I know. We don't even kiss very much or like hold hands, touch, be affectionate. Where did I just hear this before? Oh, yeah, Ari and Benny. And Jasmine's like, whenever I try to get close to you, kiss you or something, you do this. And Gino's like, Jasmine, I just have to be in the mood. And Jasmine's like, you're never in the mood. And Gino's like, well, how do you expect me to be in the mood when you do nothing but fight with me every day? I'm an emotional person, Jasmine. Like, what do you expect? And Jasmine's like, you're an emotional person when you watch pornography? Huh? You watch pornography and you're an emotional person. Okay, Gino. And Gino's like, well, I'm not with a woman who's kind and nice and gentle with me, and like the other guys do. Okay, their women are nice, kind, and gentle, not nasty like you, Jasmine. And this is the look. Jasmine is looking at him. Jasmine's like, I deserve to be loved. Okay, Gino. I deserve happiness, Gino. And she goes storming out of the room. And Gino's like, bye. See you later. Wouldn't want to be ya. That's a psycho. That's a psycho. And that's what you married, Gino. You married a psycho. So by the time all the couples get down to breakfast, basically the only couple that's sitting together is Brandon and Julian. Brandon and Julia. Florian decided that he was going to sit with the boys. Stacy's going to go sit with the girls. Natalie and Ari, actually Natalie and Stacy are going to sit and talk and connect because she's a queen. And Jasmine, She's tense. She's anxious. Her and Gino keep fighting. She doesn't know what she's gonna do, and she needs to talk to somebody. Okay, she needs someone to listen to her, and that someone is her friend Matt, her best friend Matt, that her husband Gino knows nothing about. Never met him. She met him at the gym. Okay. And as she explains to the producer, because she's on the phone with him, and she's like, I don't want to go home. I don't want to be here. And Matt, putting his improv acting skills in effect, says, well, I don't know why you're letting him trigger you and upset you. Like, come on, Jasmine. You're better than that. So the producer's like, who were you on the phone with, Jazzy? And she's like, my friend Matt. I met him at the gym, and he's my best friend. Does Gino know about him, Jazzy? No, because if Gino knew about him, Gino would think it's something more, and I haven't done anything with him. I swear I have not done anything with him. Okay, so Matt's like, in my opinion, I think that you need to stay there and try to work on these things and work things out with him. You guys do have love for each other, but at the end of the day, Jazzy, Gino needs to realize that there are hundreds of thousands of men that would want to be with you. They would jump in 2 seconds just to be with you, including me. Including me, Jazzy. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't even know hundreds of thousands of men, and I have about 15,000 subscribers, followers on Instagram, about 4,000 or so on Twitter or X or whatever the heck it's called, about 4,000 on TikTok, and 11,000 plus here. And I don't even know hundreds of thousands of men. How the hell does Jasmine have access to hundreds of thousands of men? We'll get into that in a second. So, anyway, that's it for season 2, episode 2 of The Last Resort. Jasmine, receiving a little stroke of the ego from her boo Matt. And we shall see how the rest of the season turns out. Like I said, it's still early. So now moving on to a little bit of tea, because you guys know you love the tea parts of my videos. Jasmine decided to go on her stories. I don't know if you guys watch the Between the Sheets pillow talk thingy that they're doing now after The Last Resort. Florian and Gino were looking at a clip of, was it Florian and Gino or was it Josh and Gino? I don't know. But Gino was looking at a clip and Jasmine's ass looked really, really deformed in the clip. I think it was Josh. And he tells Josh that the surgeon put the butt implants upside down. So that's why her butt looks rectangular. So Jasmine took to her story and says, I'm glad you got to see in Between the Sheets how my own husband constantly bullies me about my looks. Excuse me. It was the first time he dared to do it in front of the camera, but I'm glad he did because that's my reality every day behind doors. I'm not playing the victim, just speaking the truth, from mocking my body and laughing about it to express how he dislikes how I look physically. Fortunately, I've come to have peace with my own body and I embrace it just as it is, botched or not. She didn't say that, I did. Now, I'm not saying it for anyone to attack my husband over it. We got the therapy we needed. We all have insecurities and fears. Choose to be kind. Then she posted this, but then deleted it. My husband didn't quit to help me adapt to a new country and support me. Unfortunately, he did it to be all day long in front of a computer and neglected me. That's why, amongst other things, going to the couples retreat was very important to try to save our marriage. Now, the Instagram account, the reality TV mess, posted Jasmine's stories, and Gino hopped in the comments and he strikes back. He says, Jasmine, saying I constantly bully her about her looks daily behind closed doors is a lie. She degrades me often, as you already seen on current and previous shows, but it's much worse off camera. And I believe that. I'm always kind to Jasmine and do not bully or body shame her like she claims off camera. What you seen on Between the Sheets was jokingly said. Please stop spreading lies, Jasmine. Ugh. Next, he says, this is not true about whatsoever. Jasmine is lying about me sitting in front of my computer all day, neglecting her. I manage my investments, read news, etc. in the morning only while I drink my coffee. She is on her phone much more than I'm on my computer in any given day. And she's the one who neglects me. And a good example of that is when she stopped going to the gym with me and started taking Ubers by myself. I was suggesting to drive with me and she would take Ubers instead. I wonder why. Maybe because her best friend, Matt, was there doing his own gym time? Hmm. Good question. So now I find it highly ironic how Jasmine will take every moment she can to shame Gino for watching pornography, saying that he has a pornography addiction, whatever the case may be, but shames him for watching pornography when she makes pornography. I mean, OnlyFans, I guess you could say, is her PG-13 content because I've seen content of Jasmine that I'm like, whoa, you are a hypocrite. And she crucifies him for having, for watching porn when her co-stars all have OnlyFans. Sophie, Julia, even Ari and Binny. Okay, and like seriously, Jasmine. Now Stacy may not have one, but Darcy does. So Jasmine will take any chance she gets to try to, just justify her actions. And what she did to Gino, to me, is unjustifiable. So I'm going to share, in case you guys haven't seen it, her filming with her best friend, aka Boo Matt, for the next season of The Single Life, which was just filming a couple of weeks ago. One of my followers managed to catch this scene in a bar, in a local bar. You're going to see both Gino and Jasmine in this clip. They are dating separate people. Jasmine is dating Matt. Gino is dating this chick that he is not currently dating now. The woman he is dating now, her name is Kelly. Excuse me, I've done past videos on her. So I'm going to share the Single Life clip and Jasmine's message for Big Ed after Big Ed gave an interview to Access Hollywood, the real Access Hollywood, not Hollywood Access, the clickbait account that has all those crazy things about Angela that we wish were true but aren't. Access Hollywood interviewed Ed about what he thought about the first episode of The Last Resort and about Jasmine sleeping out and not telling Gino where she is for days at a time. So let me share this with you guys.
This is a message for Big Ed. Stop talking bad things about me on social media, okay? Every time you get interviewed, because those are false accusations. You are trying to damage my reputation. You know why, guys? Because I'm the new queen of cameos, and I took his place in cameos, and he's so jealous of me. So, Big Ed, as I told you, okay, you continue like this. Your pets are gonna, okay? Book my cameos, guys. Okay, because that's why he's jealous.
So, according to Jasmine, Ed is calling her out because he thinks that Jasmine is cheating. And Jasmine says that Ed is calling her out because she's jealous. He's jealous of her being the queen of cameos now. Do you think that's true? No, I think it's bullshit. I think Jasmine um knows that Big Ed is right, that she's a big fat cheater, and who the fuck cares about cameos when it comes down to the day? So anyway, moving on. Unfortunately, we're gonna see them on Single Life again. Now, Julia, on the other hand, she had her wisdom teeth pulled. She posted some stuff to her stories. Today, I will be under anesthesia for the first time in my life. I'm very scared, but wish me luck. I don't understand why she drove herself to the dentist because if they're going to put you under, you can't, like maybe somebody picked her up. I don't know, but I wish Julia all the best. Maybe she was being a little over dramatic in her stories, but whatever. Stacy, please put your nipples away. Florian looks good in his tux. They were at these influencers global awards. Of course, Georgie and Darcy were there as well. Josh was just in France after being in Australia with Rob and Jamal. Meanwhile, Natalie is hanging out with Sinjin and Sinjin's girlfriend. So let me just share that with you guys. A little bit of Natalie hanging out. I'm never gonna dance again. I have to mute this music. Now, I remember Natalie not liking people drinking alcohol and being like really anti-alcohol, but it looks like now she's, you know, drinking wine during the holidays and stuff. StreamYard is really getting on my last nerves. I cannot deal with this sometimes, but here we go. Okay, so that is Josh and Natalie gossip. And moving on, Brandon posted some pictures from behind the scenes before they all went walking on their therapy session in the desert. And like I said, Dr. James is really enjoying all this. He's enjoying his screen time. He's enjoying the attention on social media. Good for him. That's all I have to say. So, thank you so much, guys. I want to wish you all a very, very happy holiday. Merry Christmas, whatever you guys celebrate. From the 18th to the 23rd, I'm going to be on a little family vacation. We're going to Aruba, but don't worry. I will be watching all my shows. I will catch up on all my content when I get back. And I will be doing stuff before we leave on Wednesday. But I just want to remind you, when someone makes you mad, especially during this time of year, okay, a candy cane could really be a multifunctional tool if you use it just so. Thank you so much for watching me, everybody. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Please subscribe if you don't already. Hit that like button. Share my video with a friend or 10. And please consider joining my membership. And I will see you guys on Monday for my B90 recap. Bye, everybody.